Hey there, Affinity Cadets. This video goes out to Mr. Rick Yanofsky. Thank you so much for requesting this. This is going to be how to create a macro for creating kaleidoscope effects inside of Affinity Photo. Now, to get started, let's go ahead and go to File menu and choose Open. And open up an image to work with. Doesn't really matter which one. I've got this picture of this red rock. That's very cool from Pexels. And right here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up my macros. Now, this is going to be under your view menu. Scroll on down to where it says Studio and click on Macro, and that will fire up your macros for you. And when it pops up, I'm just going to go ahead and hit that little red button there. At this point, you want to be very cautious because anything you do will be recorded in the macro if the macro supports it. So that means if you apply a filter, you change your layer or anything else, those are all things that become part of your macro. So please be very calculated to what you do next. Fortunately for us, it's a very simple filter process. So I simply have to go to my filter menu, down to distort, and I'm going to choose mirror. And once on mirror, you get this little dialog box that pops up that asks you first for a number of mirrors as well as an input and output. Now let's talk about how this works. First off, your input will determine how each individual mirrored piece is rotated. So for example, if I rotate my input by 45 degrees, each little slice of the mirror is rotated by 45 degrees. If I were to increase the number of mirrors, as you can see, right, and depending on where my input is, each one of those will be rotated by this amount inside of my input. Now, if that's the case, then what output does is it rotates everything that's inside your canvas. Okay, so input, individual slices, output, the whole thing. And then number of mirrors is just how many slices you want to create. And that will depend on your individual images. Some of these are going to look really cool, and some of these, well, probably not so much. So it's your job to kind of play around with this until you find something you really like. And sometimes you're going to find something that looks amazing, and others maybe not so much. But in this particular case, I like the way this mirror right here is looking. So we'll go ahead and hit apply. And once I'm done with that, I'm going to hit the little stop button at the top of my macros, the little square here. And I'm going to come on over and click on this icon here that says add to library. It'll ask you for a name. I'll just go and call this mirror 1. And for the category, I've already created a category called Aaron's Actions. You can save this in default or macros or something if you prefer, but Aaron's Actions, and I'll hit OK. And that'll open my library, including the different types of categories I have. And there's Aaron's Actions, and there's the mirror 1 I just created. So I want to create a couple more of these. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and undo this. And then I'm going to go back to my macro. I'm going to hit the reset button, this icon right here. Now with the reset done, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and hit start recording. One more time. Oh, stop. Let me get stop first. Okay, start recording. Now if I pop up to filters, distort, and I hop on down to mirror, give it that click. This time around, I'm going to choose a different setting. So before I had like 7 slices, and I can't remember what the input and output was set to, but maybe this time like we try like 4 or 3. Try the different inputs. Okay. Oh, that's interesting. And you can try the outputs as well. So like you can find something that looks relatively interesting that suits this particular photo, and I'll hit apply. Then I'll hit the stop button up at the top, the save to library, and I'll call this mirror 2. Now, you can do as many of these as you want. And I'm just going to set the category to Aaron's Actions. Hit OK. I can have 20 of these if I prefer. But now that I actually have a couple of these, I'm going to go ahead and hit stop. Oops, macro. Bad Aaron. Okay, so macro, make sure to stop. And library, I'm sorry. It doesn't matter if library is currently open, but I did close my canvas. Long day. Okay. So now I want to apply this to my images. If I go to my file menu and scroll on down to where it says new batch job, it'll ask me for my sources. And if I come on down and hit add, I'm just going to highlight the different images in my folder that I have here. And you can navigate to a different folder if you prefer, but just select the photos you want and hit open. And you can keep on adding as many sources as you like. On the right hand side where it says output, where it says save into, if I give that a click, I can choose a different folder to save it into. So in this case, I'm in the same folder I was at. I'm just going to hit new folder, and I'm going to go and call this mirrored copies. Or actually, I'm going to say mirror 1 copies. There we go. Cool. And I'll select folder. Let's see. I want to turn off save as Affinity Photo and turn on save as JPEG. And if you want to change your JPEG options to the far right, the dot, 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 you can go ahead and give that a click. And you can choose what you want to save this as with your JPEG settings. Usually I just want to make sure my quality is 100% so I don't lose anything there. And resample, let's see what we got. By cubic. And pixel format, I'll use document format. It's fine. And then right here in the middle where it says available macros, I'm going to change this from default to Aaron's actions, or whatever your action category is. And I'm going to choose mirror 1 and choose apply, but just mirror 1 for now. Now, once this is set, I'm going to hit OK. And that's going to go through and apply that mirror action to every single photograph in that particular folder. Now, if I were to go to File, Open, and take a look at that mirror 1 copy, you're going to see that I have those different ones in there. Right? All of those ones are actually currently saved inside of there. All right, so that's relatively cool. But now I want to apply mirror 2 to all my images. So let me cancel that. And let's go to File and choose, let's see, Batch Job. I'll hit Add. In this case, I'm going to go back up and hit the up arrow to go back into my regular folder. I'm going to highlight all these. So I'm just going to click and drag all my photos again and hit Open. Gives it a second to bring it in. Okay, save into. And this time around, I'm actually going to create another folder here. I'm going to create a new folder. I'm going to go and call this mirror 2 copies. And you don't have to do this. I'm not suggesting you put it inside the same folder as mirror 1 because I'm not sure if they overwrite or not, but I am creating a separate folder just to kind of keep it different. I'll hit select folder. Again, turn off Affinity Photo, save as JPEG. Available actions, set it from default to Aaron's actions. And this case, I'm going to run mirror 2 and hit apply. Make sure you hit apply so it comes in there. And I'm going to hit OK. And it's going to run through and it's going to apply that to all the additional ones inside of here. And if I go back to File, Open, you're going to see now we have those additional copies, mirror 2. I can open this up and I have the settings from mirror 2 applied to these JPEGs. So I can have 100 images in here that I've done this to, and every single one of these folders are created. For example, if I go back and look at mirrored 1, these are different settings for all of these. So you can create some really, really, really cool backdrops, textures, etc. And it's all automated. And again, you can have half a dozen of those going. Unfortunately, I don't know of an easier way to do that than applying it one action per run. But you can get a little crazy though. Let me show you one additional thing so you can create some variation. If you do apply a batch job, let's go ahead and add those images one more time. The one thing I can do is where it says available macros here, Aaron's actions, I can actually set both mirrors. So it applies mirror 1 followed by mirror 2. So let's take a look at that real quick. Save into, and I'll go ahead and create a new folder for mirror crazy awesome. Not that it is. I don't know. Maybe I'm getting a little crazy, but I'll open that, select it. And here, let's go ahead and run that, see what happens. Okay. And if I go to File, Open, and I take a look at Mirror Crazy Awesome, it's applied both Mirror 1 and Mirror 2 to the mix. All right, so you might get something really cool. You might not. It doesn't really look like there's much variation, but you can assign a bunch of actions on top of that, and they will all apply in succession to create your output. So I hope you learned something, and if you did, that's great. Don't feel like you have to like or subscribe this because I really can't stand people saying that. But anyway, you've been awesome, and thank you for taking the time to check this out. Catch you later.